know, I've been thinking. The collective consciousness of the unwashed masses seems to strive for the idea of growing or getting better. This need to collectively strive forward isn't just coincidence, it's in our DNA. It's what drives us to produce art, have children, start a business, or even express ourselves creatively on YouTube. The need to create and experience bigger and better things, but all the while consuming at the same time. This need comes from a small corner in the back of our minds. In America, this is caused by a psychic scar from long ago, one that urges us to push forward and to populate the world before us with our own legacy. This is the story of that scar. In 1878, historian James Truslow Adams was born. As a young adult, James became a freelance author who wrote several texts on the subjects of history, education, and the status quo of his time. But, as he grew older, Adams noticed that he was indeed not like the rest of his contemporaries. Though only ever revealed to a few select people, Adams had discovered he was a very powerful psychic. His powers to control the minds of others and sway them to his whims proved to be a valuable tool for the United States government. And in 1918, he was assigned captain of the Military Intelligence Division of the U.S. Army. Adams would go on to be at several high-level meetings, such as the Paris Peace Conference. But as his psychic abilities grew, so did his hunger. The need to grow and become more powerful than any other living being whispered in the back of his mind, urging him to find a way to make it so. In a 1928 military intelligence testing, it was found that Adams' powers worked in a very similar way to that of the modern-day vampire. He was able to consume the psychic abilities of other psychics and add them to his very own, already powerful set of skills. This went on for several years, and during World War II, the American military institution would feed him the most powerful fortune tellers, prophets, seers, and soothsayers that they could find during their conflicts with the Axis powers. Then, one day, in a military facility located in Southport, Connecticut, Adams died. During a routine procedure in 1949, Adams would test the strength of his psychic abilities. Now that the war had ended, James's abilities had stabilized at the same level, and his feeding had slowed him down significantly. But James had other plans. He felt he had outgrown the military industry and believed himself to be the strongest being on the planet, even comparing himself to a god. Due to the tragedies of war and the non-stop feeding on his fellow man, Adams had lost his mind. As it became more and more aware of what Adams intended to do, the horrified personnel on staff cowered as the world's most powerful superweapon began to turn its powers on his countrymen. By psychically projecting his own will onto the American people, Adams planned to control the entire United States in a dreamlike daze. One nation, under a psychic spell, indivisible. As Adams powered up into his final form, he began to project his shotgun gun onto the moon. It was all but over for the American people. History has forgotten her name, the one who stood up, the one who stopped him. But we will never forget what she did for us. The legends say that Adams was so focused on gloating and weaving his psychic energies that it only took one bullet to take him down. One discharged round from a .45 caliber M1917 service revolver struck Adams through the heart. Recognizing his imminent demise, Adams psychically killed all but one survivor, and lit the entire immediate area ablaze before weaving his final curse with the last of his enemy. Adams pushed his psychic epitaph onto every American successfully before his demise, the American Dream, a psychic scar passed down to every single person born in America. Now, Adams' psychically inherent need for consumption and growth, his legacy, marks every living human being from California to New York Island, from Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was cursed so bitterly. Recent studies on crossbreeding between nations has even revealed that the sickness has even crossed the oceans to other countries. This has caused a massive influx of immigrants to America, all wishing to come to the land of the free, the home of the brave, to start their own gas station or Mexican restaurant. The effect of this can be seen at its strongest in large metro areas such as New York. The American Dream has created the largest melting pot of individuals the world has ever seen. A blister of infectious colonists, all living together. To this day, the psychic residue that sits inside of those affected baffles and confuses scientists. They are at a complete loss of how to save the world before it is completely infected. Journalists, researchers, and government agencies have begun to suspect that within only a few thousand years, all the Earth's population might become infected by the Dream. Though many cures have been hypothesized, nothing concrete has yet to be identified to combat this growing threat. If something isn't done soon, the infection will be too large to hinder any further. If you're an American citizen, tell me how living with the American dream has affected you. Not from America? Let me know how it was living without the dream to push you forward. Leave a comment below and I'll get back to you on how different your experience is from my own. As an American, I have never known life without the dream's influence. I sometimes wonder if I'll ever be free from its yearning for more and more consumption. Gonna scroll the page down. A blister of infectious consciousness. Fuck.